Next, we look at managing ethical business conflicts. Ethical business conflicts will occur, throughout in an organization throughout its life. What do you mean by ethical business conflicts? When there are two or more positions on a decision that conflicts with organizational goals. Okay, you have organizational goal, and then to achieve that goal, there is some decision that you need to have. However, to make that decision, there are different positions. There are different views on how to do things. Okay, there are different point of views. Okay, in fact, there are different values. Sometimes emerge because employees feel uncomfortable about their own or their co-workers' decision. Okay, so when there are different views, different strong views regarding an ethical decision, so therefore there will this will create some ethical conflicts. However, when conflicts occur, it helps pinpoint ethical issues. When everybody agrees to an action which is unethical, then organizations will be contented and will pursue the action without considering its consequences. When all of the employees agree on an unethical decision, but when there are different views, several employees say this is unethical, several says this is ethical. It will pinpoint, it will highlight that this is an ethical issue that needs to be considered more deeply. Okay, so the fact that there is differences in opinion is actually good in terms of it highlights that this is there is contention here, and this needs to be further investigated. Leaders cannot totally avoid ethical conflict, but can maintain an ethical corporate culture through appropriate conflict management. Okay, so even though the conflicts is inevitable, cannot be avoided, but leaders can maintain an ethical corporate culture. Okay, organizations ethics can also be contained by having a conflict management. So ethical conflict issues will not be brought to management's attention without effective mechanisms for transparent communication. It requires an authentic and proactive approach to address the ethical business conflict. And employees should be trained how to handle conflict. Okay. In terms of conflict management, there are 5 styles to conflict management, and you can see this in the quadrant. The conflict management styles will depend on two main dimensions. One is assertiveness and the other is cooperativeness. Assertiveness, if you see on the y-axis, assertiveness is how much you can instruct for things to happen. So the higher the assertiveness means that the higher you are able to instruct people to follow instructions of a single person. Okay, following the instructions of a single person, or bringing people to conform to one particular view. That is assertiveness. Whereas cooperativeness is taking into account or the other party's opinion. So assertiveness is you impose on the extreme, is that you impose your opinion on others, but cooperativeness is more you accept other people's opinion. So a high cooperativeness means that you totally accept their opinion to and submerge your own opinion. That is cooperativeness, something like that. So because there is this dimension, these two dimensions, we can make it into 5 quadrants. Okay, you have on the minimum side, you have avoiding is minimum, is low assertiveness and low cooperativeness. That is avoiding. And if you have high cooperativeness but low assertiveness, that is accommodating. If you have high assertiveness but low cooperativeness, that is competing. If you have high assertiveness and high cooperativeness, you are collaborating. And in the middle part is compromising. If you have somewhere in the middle assertiveness, average assertiveness, and you have average cooperativeness, then you are compromising. Let's look at these 5 quadrants in more detail. So the first one is competing. The competing is when you have high assertiveness and low cooperativeness. So high assertive and not very cooperative. Here we are believing in winning at any cost. Okay, the person who is making the decision believe they want to win at any cost. They will do whatever in order to satisfy winning, win whatever they want. Measure success by how much the other side loses. Okay, in competing, it measures success by looking at how much the other side loses, and usually not considered to be ethical. It is usually abusive and less likely to consider the concerns of stakeholders. This is in general terms. However, in certain kinds of conflicts, one way of managing could be better than other ways of managing. So it's not exactly black and white which of these is the best one. Okay. The second one is avoiding. So avoiding is it says not effective. It avoid conflicts at any cost, even if it leads to misconduct. So they will try to avoid any conflict. Okay. It is uncooperative and non-assertive. Okay. So it's not asserting the decision maker's point of view, and it is also not taking into account other people's view. They just don't do anything. That is, so they avoid doing things. Even if they are aware of misconduct, they have no desire to manage it. That's the in ethical terms, this is what happened. In the third one is accommodating. Accommodating is highly cooperative but non-assertive. So accommodating is giving in to the other side, even if it means sacrificing their own interests and values. Giving in to the other side, even if it means sacrificing their own interests and values. The fourth one is compromising. So compromising is believing each side should give something up in order to gain something of value. So compromising is in the middle ground both ways. It's middle ground in assertiveness and middle ground in collaborating. Not collaborating. Cooperating. Okay, middle ground in cooperating. So it's believing each side should give something up in order to gain something of value. It is useful in resolving ethical dilemmas when all solutions have disadvantages. The last one is collaborating. Collaborating is the most advantageous. It is both highly cooperative and highly assertive. Collaborate with others to find way to obtain a beneficial solution. Effective leaders can use different styles depending upon the situation. Ethical leaders should also have the ability to identify the conflict management styles of others. So not only do ethical leaders should be able to apply the different styles depending on the situation, but they should also understand what the other parties' management style, conflict management style. An ethical leader must know which style of conflict management to apply to a particular issue. Next, we look at ethical crisis management and recovery. Okay, so crisis management and recovery needs to be done when there is ethical disasters. What do we mean by ethical disasters? It is large-scale unethical activity that follows recognizable phases of escalation, from ethical issue recognition and the decision to act unethically to the organization's discovery of and response to the act. So ethical disasters, something that is that is big, that goes on from phases to phases, and companies should prepare for ethical disasters. Ethical disasters can result in substantial legal and financial costs and disrupt routine operations, paralyze employees, reduce productivity, destroy organizational reputation, and erode stakeholder confidence. Organizational members engaging in questionable or illegal conduct are guilty of ethical misconduct and can threaten the overall integrity of the organization. So when members within the organization engages in illegal conduct or ethical misconduct, then this will escalate to an ethical disaster on the organization and will threaten the overall integrity of the organization. Formal mechanisms should be in place to discover risk.